Everybody on our show tonight makes records, including our next guest. He, however, makes his out of other records. Please welcome record player Christian Marclay.
Christian Marclay is a 65-year-old Swiss-American visual artist and composer. He's captivated by the art of unwanted sound, creating art with the noise from the most unexpected things. He used to play in a punk rock band in order to be able to create whatever kind of music he wanted without actually studying music. Marclay's work mainly presents and explores connections between sound, noise, photography, video, and film. He's known for being a pioneer of using the gramophone records and turntables as musical instruments to create sound collages. He is interested in how sound was visualized. He explored video in order to allow him to comment on the relationship between sound and the image. Collecting sound and noises from the most random places allowed him to have this unique voice in the art world, making him very notable and different because of this deviation from the norms of what kind of art was being created during the late 20th century.
Christian Marclay is constantly evolving. His music is a social event, a gathering of people listening together. He redefined what an exhibition can be by letting the audience participate and sometimes improvising his performances in a white cube space. He thrives on performance and improvisation. Marclay has been said to be the first non-rap DJ to make an art form out of a turntable, treating the instrument as a means to rip songs apart, not bridge them together.
Sound through performance art.
He was influenced by multimedia productions of Laurie Anderson, the 1950-1960s The Happening Group, which included Lamont Young and Yoko Ono. Also lesser-known composers of that group, Wolf Fostel, who devised sonatas for jet aircraft, Milan Knisk mistreated records with a penknife, George McCunis gleefully hammered nails into piano keyboard, Dick Higgins fired shotguns at sheets of blank music manuscript paper, creating a random score. He said, "The work I'm doing now would have never happened had I not worked with turntables before." It all started in 1996 at a music and sound art festival in Berlin. I decided to make blank sheet music posters with stairs and plaster them all over the city, mostly in the streets, but sometimes in public bathrooms where people have time to leave some traces as graffiti. Christian Marclay has a fixation with vinyl records. He once said, "You can get so many sounds out of one record, every record can be used in some way. If the music in a groove fits with what you're playing, then play it. If not, then you can play it backwards. If that doesn't work, you try it at a different speed. If it really doesn't work, you just break it." He chose records as in the 70s, everybody had records at home. It was the medium of choice. For him, it was a bit different. It was a punk way of working. In his installation, Footsteps, 1989, he covered the floor of an industrial shed in Zurich with 3,500 unsleeved vinyl records, then told visitors, the audience, to trample them to their heart's content. The records were later packaged and sold as seen. He says, "People who care about records are always giving me a hard time." He would destroy, break, and do anything else to the records that would make a different sound than its own groove. Another significant artwork was called Record Without a Cover, done in 1985. It was his own record being sold without protective packaging, so that it sat vulnerable in retail racks until someone buys it and further subjects it to the carelessness of home use. It was instant random transformation. The record was not about preserving sounds for posterity, but it comes to life. He said, it's about allowing the medium to come through, making a record that was not a document of a performance, but a record that could change with time and would be different from one copy to the next. Marclay has a vast collection of records. The Christmas section of his collection alone stretches to 1,200 platters. They were exhibited as the sounds of Christmas. He is obsessed with examining the way mass-produced objects act as filters, intercepting the signals it travels from a source to the organ's sense. He says, for me, the record is a strange object that has completely transformed the way we think about sound. First of all, it turns sound into something material that you can hold in your hand, and it turned it into a commodity you can make money with, which pretty much changes everything. Marclay strives to open the process of composition to external influences, to let other people, the audience, be able to augment his work, henceforth becoming its own artwork, and people becoming a part of it.
In one of the exhibitions that Marclay created, he was able to use these two paintings along with many other things, such as onomatopoeic terms, fall from the ceiling, cluster on the walls, and on canvases and screen prints, and was able to create the noisiest exhibition without even hearing any sounds. Noise from just looking at the painting. And there was no audio accompanying it, but just looking at this, you feel the color, you feel the noise from the words. The way he strategically placed the words in the middle of the canvas, along with the colors that are really bright with the dull background, like the orange background with the red words, and maybe the green background with the white words. It allows the viewer to feel the sound. Rather than just read the word, you feel it. So that's what makes it really interesting. This is the clock, one of Marclay's most well-renowned art pieces to date. It was exhibited in 2010 after 3 years of working on it. It's basically a 24-hour video montage of scenes from film and television that feature clocks and tell the time of every minute of the 24 hours in the day. The artwork itself is supposed to function as a clock, and he deliberately made it sync with local time, so the time shown at any point in the video would be actual time. Many can interpret this piece in a different way, since time is a never-ending thing. It's an abstract concept in itself. By entering this realm of his 24-hour clock of the past, you are constantly reminded of the time and exactly how long you've spent watching. The quick change of narratives displays both depth, but also simultaneous and perpetual continuity. With every change of scene comes a change of narrative, thus a change in scenery, characters, and plot, as is the case in real life. At each second all around the world, different events take place in different time zones, involving people from different countries and cultures of all ages, races, and genders. The clock can also work as an actual clock, if started at the correct time, but also can be stopped at any time, giving the viewer power over the clock, when paradoxically, one has no power whatsoever over the clock. Time cannot be stopped. This was a projection of Christian Marclay's chewing gum in Times Square in New York in 2016. He was able to elevate garbage and find beauty in the best of things. He created a stop motion with the photographs he took of blots of gum around New York, taking countless photos in order to make this as impactful by making a hypnotic animation. This really goes to show that there's beauty in the most random of places. Similar to what he's done with the unwanted sound and noise, he did with this. In his own words, he says that he wants to transform trash into poetry. He was able to show the grittiest part of every pavement come to life in one of the busiest streets in the world, grabbing attention of many.
Telephones was done in 1995. He assembled a 7-minute montage of clips from Hollywood films that feature characters using telephones. It was a skillfully edited arrangement of black and white and color film clips with different subjects using different telephones. It featured a cast of popular TV and movie characters. The scenes were sourced by marclay from more than 130 classic Hollywood films. Each of the telephones shown in the film are highlighted in terms of mechanics, rhythms, and other sound properties. When the phone rings, each cast member has different reactions consisting of boredom, anxiety, anger, desire, etc., which makes it appear as though all the cast members are taking part in one long cohesive conversation. The work's oral and visual repetition served in part to defamiliarize stock scenes. He came up with a completely new narrative that offered audiences a perspective observation on cinematic devices. He also highlighted old-fashioned and outdated social behaviors and habits that are often experienced in society.